Well, welcome inside another live edition of the Scores Table. Brian Haenchen, Danny Riego, Courtney Delks, Josh Sabol here with you, recapping the second night of sectional high school basketball. We'll be joined by Will Staal, Avon girls basketball coach, to talk about his team's season and help us preview a little bit of Plainfield versus Brownsburg. Will has the distinction of being one of the coaches, probably the only, as we were talking about beforehand, to have beaten both teams this year. So yeah, let's dive right into it, folks. I know that Silver Creek and Floyd Central was a big game. I didn't get a chance to see it because I was out in Pendleton, which is a gigantic dead zone in terms of cellular service. But I know Danny, Courtney, and Josh, I'm guessing you guys got eyes on it. So I'll throw the ball out to you and let you take it away.
Absolutely. Today's the last day of January, and that game lived up to the hype of January Madness. And I mean, when you look at this game, the final score, Silver Creek ended up winning, but I would say the first three quarters were all Floyd Central. Floyd Central was up 29-25 at the half. They were up by 7 going into the third quarter. And Silver Creek put on this full court press. They were trapping all over, and with 6:05 to go, it was still 45-38 Floyd Central. And then Silver Creek put on the press, nearly got a 10-second call. There was a terrible shot selection by Floyd Central, and then Emma Shane. Silver Creek was so poised even when they were down by 7. I haven't seen a girls basketball team in that situation in the fourth quarter with so much poise, and she hit a huge step back three from the top of the key behind the screen, put them with 45-43, and there were some big free throws hit, and then the tide started to change in that game, and it became all Silver Creek, and Floyd Central just really their shot selection, they were rushed. They had almost 10-second calls. They were getting trapped in the corners. They had to travel in the corner. They had to call timeouts because they were dribbling to the corner. So what Silver Creek did tonight was epic. And that game was at 52-49 with 39 seconds to go. And that's when everybody had to start fouling. And Kira Grant, I mean, that girl had 2 huge buckets driving to the basket that really sealed the deal. So that game, that was epic. If you can go back and watch that fourth quarter, it is worth going back and watching.
Yeah, I thought Scott Shane did a great job with Silver Creek, not just in this game, but also kind of throughout the whole year. They look different. I mean, I've seen them live a couple of times, and they look different tonight. They looked more balanced. They looked more fluid. Emma Shane got 22. Wren had 21, but their leading scorer didn't even lead him in scoring. So Shane was really involved. But Scott, I think, this is a guy, Josh, that he won the state championship in 2021, state runner-up in 2022. And I think that was to the South Bend Washington team that nobody was beating.
Right.
So the guy can deal. And I thought tonight his in-game adjustments of switching defenses, they kind of bounced back and forth. Courtney talked about how they were able to get traps out of man, but they also went to the odd front. And she talked about the full court press. But he just kind of stayed with it. And I thought he didn't go away from Wren, but used Wren as kind of a little bit of a decoy. They run this set where she dives from the weak side to the block, and Emma Shane catches it up top. I mean, it seems like those were things where they were looking for Emma coming off. So I thought Scott's in-game adjustments were really good. But, yeah, Silver Creek's moving on.
Yeah, I think also, too, I mean, obviously you never want to be trailing after 3 quarters in an opening round sectional game. But I do think that does give you a little bit of momentum and you get belief, from your players and buy-in from your players that, hey, listen, if we are in a sticky spot where we are behind, late in a tournament game that, a coach is going to put us in position to win, and we're going to execute down the stretch, and we're going to make free throws, and we're going to move on. And I think this game against BNL Friday night is going to be very, very, very tightly contested. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I mean, you brought up the BNL thing. I mean, we talked about this sectional potentially leading up to being a changing of the guard, and I was honestly very disrespectful to Floyd Central. I talked about Silver Creek a lot, but Floyd Central's good. And of the 10 players that finished the game, Silver Creek and Floyd Central, respectively, those 2 teams, 9 of those kids are coming back. including Ren and Shane and Gant, and on the Floyd Central side, Gibson's going to be back, and Elise Coleman, who was big time tonight, is going to be back too. So those are two really good teams. If realignment doesn't get them, B&L graduates Spring and Bailey. These are two teams that are set up for a nice little 2-year run.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, obviously we talk about sectional 8, rightfully so, but I feel like this sectional also very competitive, a lot of good coaching, a lot of good players. And every game, it just seems like it's going to come right down to the final minute or two.
So and Hank's still downloading some videos. I mean, so from the Friday night semifinal, then, like, I mean, I'll just give you what to watch is. I mean, I'm interested to hear what you think, Courtney, and what you think, Josh. But I mean, Spring is, in my opinion, I think she's the best finisher. I mean, maybe even at the state at the rim. And Brooklyn Wren, I think, is the best defender at protecting the rim. So I think very much like the first matchup, I think we got to ask questions of where's Wren defensively, and if she can clog the paint, can Chloe get to her spots, or can she make shots? And then I think supporting cast too. I mean, Spring tonight in it would be the quarterfinal, he has had 20, but Bailey had 18. Wren had 21, but Shane had 22. So supporting cast. So I think my what to watch is going to be Spring, Wren, and that supporting cast.
Do you think that Wren will guard Spring one-on-one, or do you think coach will put maybe a more like physical perimeter type defender on Chloe and then just have Wren zone up the rim?
Yeah, I think it's going to be the latter. I mean, I think we had hypothesized when the regular season matchup, we had hypothesized it was going to be Gant. I think it ended up being maybe Lydia Wright, but they kept they kept Wren in the paint. So yeah, Josh, I mean, I think they're going to do the same thing. I mean, Chloe did get in double figures in that game, but they didn't get away from them. I think she only had maybe 15 or 16 points, I think, and the whole team only had 30.
Yeah, if you go to John Harrell, I mean, B&L is only favored by 4, so I mean, it's going to be really competitive.
That's crazy that that's not a sectional championship. That's just a game to get to Jennings County, which is a joke.
I know.
I don't know, Courtney. What do you think going into that one? I mean, is it?
Man, I watched a few clips of the New Albany B&L game, and I think that going into Friday night, the game tonight for Silver Creek really prepared them. And so, like, that game against New Albany, I mean, their defense is not very good. They were getting lost. So, like, I know Chloe's going to be ready in her squad. New Albany, maybe if they wore their white uniforms, would have been ready to go on defense tonight. But I think, I don't know. I think it's going to be a classic, really. I don't know. I just think that, I think that Silver Creek's defense is so good. Man to man, they're switching, they're communicating. And so B&L has got to be ready to go against their defense. I was very, very impressed by Silver Creek's D.
We're ready, Hank. Oh, you're mute.
God, I'm like
Come on.
Sabol
some
here.
Professionalism. We're live.
I'm aging in front of our eyes. Sabol's rubbing off on me. That's what it is. Thank you guys for covering for me, both with the microphone and as I convert some videos. We're going to try and have some interview clips, a buzzer beater from my game, and some highlights from up on Lapel since Clark didn't get a chance to chop them out. But for now, let's go ahead and bring on Will Staal, Avon girls basketball coach. Will's season unfortunately came to an end last night against Brownsburg, but felt like, honestly, another step in the right direction for the Orioles, who picked off Ben Davis. They beat Brownsburg for the first time, Will, as we've talked about in a lot of the girls' lives. And I guess I'll just start broadly. I'll start the discussion with just your takeaways from the season and some of the positives that have come from it.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me on. I mean, none of our girls were alive the last time Avon beat Brownsburg or Ben Davis in girls basketball, and we did both, which, I mean, is kind of shocking when you think about that, because a lot of them can drive. It's scary, honestly, not one time. But we did it both times. I think our game at Brownsburg, we showed a lot of poise. We got down by 8-9 in the fourth quarter. Last year, we had a really good group of basketball players. We missed those seniors a lot. And then coming in the summer, we thought we were rolling. And then a torn ACL for Amaya Bass, who's had the school record in steals. Anaya Smith got it this year. She wouldn't have got it if Amaya would have been on the floor too. And then the girl that probably would have replaced her tore her meniscus. So knee strength is a big thing for us right now. I think we had a good season, not great. We had some really high expectations that we didn't meet. And as the leader of the program, that falls on my shoulders. If you're going to set high expectations and not meet them, the leader's got to take the blame right there. Our kids work hard. We're one of 2 schools in the state that have a strength coach and a speed coach full-time, us in Morrisville, because we took Morrisville's. And then 2 weeks ago, we just opened up an 11,000 square foot weight room with about 40 squat racks with final form and cameras on all of them, and a set of treadmills that cost more than I'll make in 5 years combined. So our kids, we have every single thing we need to win at Avon. We know we're going to do it. We return about 98.5%. I mean, it's not like I'm counting of our scoring next year. We're not extremely tall, but we work hard. We try to hit you with the press. And as long as we can get our kids healthy. And my biggest mentor is Chris Huppenthal from HSC. I mean, I don't think I could pick a better mentor. Him and Donna Buckley, I say, between the 3 of us, we've won 2 state titles. I mean, so it's a great room of coaches. But Hupp was at our game last night, and he just talked to me. He's just like, anything that you're going to do isn't going to happen tonight. It's not going to happen this week. It's not going to happen this month. It's really hard to get 12 kids on the same page trending forward, and we felt like we were in that direction, and we know we can do it. Shameless plug, we're led by our point guard, Anaya Smith. This year, she broke the school record for points in a season, points in a game, steals in a season, steals in a game, and is 5th all-time in assists, along with getting those individual things. And she's about 6th all-time on school scoring only as a junior. If you're out there voting for Indiana Junior All-Stars, shoot me an email, because I'm not sure there's many point guards better than her in the junior class.
Yeah, I was going to ask about Anaya. I wrote about her after you guys beat Plainfield at the beginning of the year, and just how prolific a talent she is. I mean, it's unbelievable what she can do with the ball, and just the defensive prowess obviously speaks for itself, and their ability to score it. How did you see her progress from that kind of, early stage of the year to the end?
Yeah, I think at the early stage of the year, she was out for blood. She was out to prove a point. I think towards the end of the season, I'll give a little secret. I'm not sure her finger isn't broken right now in her shooting hand. I think the x-ray should come after season. It was not a Coach Staal decision. It was an Anaya Smith decision. And then she's been sick for about a month, so I think she battled through all of that. It's hard. She's been running our offense since she was 14. And when you know you're going to get everyone's best shot every single night, just the toll it takes on someone's body. And she stepped up defensively too. We have a really good defensive specialist named Nevaeh Wren. She's a Division I track athlete. Last week I had an official say she didn't get to the spot fast enough. I'm like, she placed in the 100 and the 4x1 at the state meet. I'm pretty sure she got there fast enough. And then we have great sharpshooter in Maya Thompson. So we have Sarai Hart, all state in rugby. So we've got a lot of really good kids. We just got to put the pieces together. You take senior leadership for granted until you only have one senior playing on the floor and they don't start. So we really missed our seniors from last year. And so we'll do that. But yeah, Anaya's a great basketball player. I mean, she went toe-to-toe with Maya Makalescu. She's, let's be real, giving up a foot to Maya. And they were going toe-to-toe when we were at HSC, which I think that was probably our best all-around game we played this year.
Yeah.
Coach, you guys had a lot of success against Brownsburg and Plainfield this year. Mm-hmm. They match up on Friday. How do you see this game going on Friday?
Yes, we had a lot of success against the Dogs in the year 2023. Once we got to January, Debbie put me in my place a little bit, coaching wise. And so, no, we have all the respect for Brownsburg, all the respect for Plainfield. I mean, Brownsburg and us, the Mick has something to say. I went to North Central. I have the utmost respect for Mick basketball. It's not getting better than the HCC and girls basketball, night in, night out. So when you see Brownsburg down the stretch beating Westfield, almost beating Fishers, going and winning at Zionsville, which people just don't do that. They're playing their best basketball. I shot Debbie a text saying you never like to lose to your rivals, but when it's your rivals that are playing their best basketball, I think it was just a rubber stamp for the culture she's created there, that even with the loss of Kaylin Terrell, they have kids stepping up. I think their guards have improved a lot as the season's gone on. Elle McCall, for them, people don't understand, she was on their freshman team last year. She played freshman basketball, and she's a stud. She's one of those kids on the scouting report. Once she gets off the bus, she is in range. She can fire. I think we did a good job of not letting Gordon claim the post and claim the lane. Our first time, our second and third time, we did not. Morgan Montgomery was there last night. I'm going to be haunted by Morgan Montgomery yelling Avery's name and then getting a wide open layup. She just knows where to go at the right times as this tough basketball player. Once their role players really stepped up, they've been hitting their stride. Plainfield is a great basketball team. We were really hungry for a win then, and they prided themselves on pressing people and being athletic. But up to that point, they really hadn't played athletes like us. Our kids stayed composed the whole time. We got down early, and then as Brian saw, anytime you can win the third quarter 28-10, we're going to take that game and run with it. But our kids showed a lot of grit. I mean, it takes a lot of grit to have the back against the wall, be 1-4, go to 7-0 Plainfield. Their student section, as we're warming up, was chanting 1-5. I mean, that stuff just fueled our kids, because it's not like we were playing a whole bunch of small schools. We had just played like Lawrence North and a bunch of big dogs. So that was a really great win for us, and just showed our kids that, hey, we need to be in the conversation with it. When push comes to shove, when it was win or go home, Brownsburg and Plainfield won, and we didn't.
With looking at Brownsburg, were you surprised by how much involvement and the production, I guess, that you saw from some of the other players? Like, was that something that there was more of, like just beyond Avery Gordon in matches 2 and then last night?
Yes. In our first game, we held her in check. I mean, holding Avery Gordon in check entails her scoring 16 or 20 points, but we held her to, I think, 16 or 17. That's about 10 under her average. And we didn't hold their guards in check. Their guards, sometimes you'll just watch them play, but if you mess up, they're going to make the right play. I mean, Macy Twomey, I feel like she's Twomey and number 5. Oh my gosh, why am I forgetting her name? It should haunt me. Emma Hendricks. Oh my gosh, Emma Hendricks. Those two are like Aaron Kraft was for Ohio State. I'm just like, gosh, they were there when I was coaching at Terre Haute South. Like, those kids have been at Brownsburg forever, but they can give you a bucket if you give them the right lane. I think Elle McColl's a really good basketball player. I mean, I had her coming in the second game. That was my scout. I had her as number 2 on our scouting report, and she's just produced all season. Morgan Montgomery's really physical, and so it'll be really interesting Friday. It's hard to beat a great team and a good team twice. It's really hard to beat a really good team 3 times. But Plainfield showed time and time again that they're going to rise to the occasion.
One more for me, Will. When you look at Plainfield then and the pieces they have, the way that some of their young kids have been coming along, Berkeley Williams, Hannah Menser, who do you key in on, I guess? How do you try and defend that when you also have Peyton B up there?
Yeah, so we went man-to-man against them, and I think we were the fastest guards that Hannah had seen. She really came along in the fourth quarter, but I think we kind of disrupted her a little bit. And Berkeley isn't really used to someone being just as fast as her, because she is like state track meet fast. So is Ellie Stewart. Ellie Stewart doesn't get enough attention at Plainfield, and it kind of kills me, because she's one of those kids that you don't want to coach or play against. She'll get under your skin a little bit, but she's one that you'd want on your team. She was all state in basically every sport she does, soccer, track. But I think she is an X factor for them too. Menser's just great. I mean, she makes the right play. As a freshman, she's calm, cool, collected. And it isn't the naive. We have a freshman, a 6-footer, Erica Larson. She's going to be really good. She averaged about 5 points a game in January, but Erica was just naive. She didn't know when to be nervous and when not to be nervous. Hannah Minster just doesn't get nervous because all she's done is win. And she's going to be an issue for us down the road. Peyton Benj can play inside, outside. I think her game's really grown because I think last year they really relied on her a lot. Now she had help in Menser and Berkeley Williams. And a lot of people probably, I had my guesses on if the chemistry would work. And you can ask Kurt, the first thing he'll say is the chemistry's worked really, really well. It's kind of rare when you see young kids come in and the older kids be fine with that. Another example of that is Franklin Central. Oh my gosh, they're going to be competing for HCC titles down the road. I talked to Vince and I was like, I wish we would have played you earlier because they've been rolling. And I think you can throw Plainfield into that. That being said, it's kind of our mantra at Avon, like a little chip on our shoulder. I still think if we were to play Brownsburg or Plainfield tomorrow, if we stick to our game plan and our kids are our kids, that we would win. Brownsburg just really blitzed us the last 2 times. So Friday will be a really good night, really great teams. It's a shame that all 3 of us were on the same side. But I got my first 4A coaching job at Terre Haute South. So I have nothing but respect for the Terre Haute coaches. Terre Haute North's head coach is Nathan Dillian, one of my best friends. He was my JV coach. So needless to say, nothing against Brownsburg or Plainfield, but if a Terre Haute school could pull off the upset, I wouldn't be sad to see that happen. So,
Courtney, you want to bring us home?
Yep, the big question. Here we go. I'm going to have to text either Kurt or Debbie apologizing right now.
Josh, you got anything before I bring it home?
Yeah, Coach, I just want to say, just from one coach to another, I feel like your career and my career very, very similar. I know what it's like to grind for 5 or 6 years, and you're doing the off seasons, you're doing the weight rooms, you're doing the feeder programs, you're coming up with innovative offenses in nothing. And it's very, very frustrating. It's very, very defeated. But one of my favorite parables was there was a farmer who would water his bamboo every year and nothing would happen. He'd water it year 2, nothing would happen. Year 3, nothing would happen. Year 4, nothing. Year 5, nothing. And then finally, his 6th year, his bamboo grew taller than skyscrapers. And if he didn't water all of those years up to that, his crops would have died. So keep going. I know that you are going to be doing some really, really big things, and I'm excited to watch you guys next year and moving forward.
No, I appreciate that. When I interviewed for the job at Avon, I had a lot of people telling me, run, don't do that. Matt Shockley, Jason Young, our administration, Dr. Scott Wyndham, our superintendent, has given Drew, our boys coach, and we have everything we need to win at Avon now. And I still say longevity-wise, I think I have the best job in the state. I think I have the best job in the Hoosier Crossroads Conference. We're building for 4,000 or 5,000 kids, new facilities, great. Our gym was packed last night. Our administration in Brownsburg's, which is cool for our game, paid for every single student to come in for free from Avon High School and Brownsburg High School. We had a packed gym on a Tuesday night. Kids are going to show up if you put a good product on the floor. And beginning of the year, we were scoring 80. End of the year, we weren't. But we appreciate it.
Josh, I like that bamboo parable. I got one too. An oak tree starts as an acorn. You think about that, it's pretty crazy. I got 2 questions for you, Coach. Number 1, what type of treadmills they got at Avon? The Woodway or what?
Okay, I forget what they are. I should have had Stevenson.
I'm guessing they're the Woodway. Oh man, hopefully he's not getting out of the question.
Uh-oh. No. Okay, so they're not self-propelled. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're good.
Gotcha.
Okay, but they're ones that when the kids plug in their data, our speed coach is going to be able to see, is their gait slow on one side, or are they leaning to their inside or outside? Is their left leg stronger than their right leg? It's intense. I haven't gotten on it yet because I don't want to be the first person to break anything. But no, Chris and Craig do a great job, and they're just the weight room. I'll just say it. They're girls coaches too. A lot of schools will focus that weight room just on football, just on basketball. Our football coach, Rob Gibson, our boys basketball coach, Drew Schaus, our strength coach and speed coach love our girls. And at Avon High School, our girls and boys athletes are treated all as athletes. And as a girls coach, and I used to be a boys coach, I won't ever go back to the boys side. I love the boys, all of that. Just our game right now. And when schools like Avon and HSE are pumping all of these resources and time into our girl athletes, like it's the best time I think it's ever been for HCC girls basketball.
So my second question, this Friday kicks off February Madness. Who you got? Plainfield or Brownsburg?
Okay, Plainfield or Brownsburg. I will pick whoever scores the most points. Oh gosh.
No, you can edge Will if you want. I don't want to get you in trouble.
That's okay.
I don't have to edit anything.
I don't think I'll get in trouble. I'll say this. It is very, like I said, it's going to be really hard for Plainfield to beat Brownsburg 3 times. That being said, I kind of think all the pressure is on the Dogs. They're the ones that have won the sectional so many times. Plainfield's lost a few games in a row. Brownsburg just took us to the curb. So I think the pressure's on Brownsburg to see if they can execute their game plan. I won't. Don't ask Hank to make a prediction about our sectional because he thought we were going to win it. So thank you for that. That was a bad omen for us. I think it goes to OT. I'll just say that. I think we'll see extra basketball tomorrow night in Avon. So
beautifully played, Will. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us, man.
Thank you guys for having me anytime.
Thanks, Coach.
Take care, buddy.
Coach. You guys.
He was endearing to listen to.
Very good.
He's awesome.
Yeah,
he's a rising star, no doubt.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like you can just tell how he talks.
Yeah.
He's good.
So I was on Sagarin, and it looks like on Friday. Hang on, I got it. It looks like Brownsburg's favored by 4 on Friday.
By 4.
In overtime?
Maybe.
Yeah. I think I had Plainfield beating Terre Haute, one of the Terre Hautes. I don't know. We'll see which one comes out, but it'll be a good one. But before we get to that, we have some other games to get to. Just running down the list here, we'll do like we did last time. We'll start at the top up to the north. Valparaiso, that sectional. Crown Point handled their business against Lowell. 20 points for Ziolkowski. Giannis, 12 points. Sorry, I'm scrolling and reading at the same time. 55-49 for Crown Point. So a nice win for them to move on. The Pendleton Heights sectional, we'll circle back to that one because I have some video and audio from there. But Lawrence North, how about the job they did? Just wasted, left little room for drama, no room for second guessing anything like that with their win over Cathedral. A really decisive win by them as I pull up stats. Danny, you had a chance to see it. We were texting about it a little bit. What did you see from that one?
Well, I saw the first half. Yeah. I mean, they got away from them pretty quickly. I think the one thing that I think translates into a matchup with Lawrence Central on Friday night is like they just play so loose. I mean, they're firing threes, and they're penetrating. They're being offensively aggressive. Jemiah Thomas was super decisive when she caught the ball on the block. I think they've got to play loose against Lawrence Central because they looked at tonight. But notably in that game, Cathedral played them in a 1-3-1, and it was almost as if like, hey, can you play a 1-3-1? Because we know we're going to see one, and we've had problems with it. Now, all due respect to the Cathedral Irish, but that's not Lawrence Central. But yeah, Lawrence North looked really, really good tonight, and LC did too.
Yeah, we were talking about it a little bit. I felt like last night was the underdogs that were playing very well and executing game plans and everything. And today it felt like the favorites, came out ready to play.
Yeah.
18 points for Jemiah Thomas, 16 for Kamara Mills looks like. Yep. Kamara Mills was 16 for Lawrence North. Sets up a rematch with Lawrence Central, which rolled by Addicts. As everybody expected, like you guys said, it went chalk, so we'll get them. And then on the other side, it's Warren Central looking to move on from their championship game. Ben Davis took it to Decatur Central. As I look at the scores, that one surprised me a little bit. I thought Maybe Decatur Central keep it close, but again, that's a really young team. A lot of new pieces coming in, and Ben Davis, stand bang this time of year. You can't bet against him. And
Nope.
I mean, they have some experienced pieces there. Zoe Wheeler's back. She hit some huge shots for them. I remember last year in county, and now Ben Davis is moving on in that sectional, which is, I mean, it's not a dumpster. It's just wide open, man.
Yeah, and like you said, like, you know, it's Stan. Like he's you know, he's going to have his girls ready to play, and don't be surprised if, you know, if they win sectional, even though, you know, the regular season doesn't suggest that.
They have a kid on their roster by the name of Alana Devine. She's a 2026. I don't know what she's averaging. Someone who can look in max preps, but I bet it's only like 8 or 9 points. This kid is like Aubrey Booker. I've said that, like, you know, like Crockett at Westfield. I have such respect for what Booker does for that Center Grove team, but Alana Devine is their version of that. And they have multiple years with her. She's a really good player and is going to make her teammates better. She's got Division I offers. She's good.
I was just going to add that Tom Izzo might be Mr. March, but I'm calling Stan Benj Mr. February.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
He needs to get that trademarked. We can get some T-shirts.
No. We're going to do that. We're going to make the merch.
Yeah, I like that.
Maybe I get NIL royalty from it.
Yeah. LC, I think LC's favored by 1, it looks like. They're Friday. So that's going to be interesting.
That seems right.
What's that?
That seems right. Let's circle back to that. Let's circle back to that matchup in a bit once we get to these scores, just for recapping purposes. Twin Lakes beat Western. That was one that I had my eye on, 54-46. That's a really tough 3A sectional. Addie Bowsman went for 30. Nickerson with 17 for Twin Lakes. Rihanna Bowman led Western with 24 points. Danny, you caught a glimpse of that game, and you said they were going boxing 1 on Olivia Nickerson.
Well, they started in boxing 1, and Twin Lakes sees it all the time, so they're so comfortable with it. They were just running their stuff. They stayed with it. Coach Bowsman did a great job tonight, and that showed how prepared he is to see multiple junk defenses. But I believe Twin Lakes avenged a regular season loss. This was a really big win. I had an eye on it. It was a multiple screen night for me. I had another game on that had the audio. So I was just kind of watching the Twin Lakes game. And every time I looked down, Addie Bowsman was doing something. Like, I didn't even know she had 30, but every time she was doing something. But I did kind of turn my attention. It's interesting to hear that Nickerson had 17 because she buried a 3 when it was like a 4-point basketball game. It was the outcome was still in doubt. And she buries a heels on the sideline 3, and Brad clenched his fist. So she put that one away. So the record holder, we got to give her flowers for hitting big shots, because they're not all meaningless threes. Some of them are big time, like the one she hit tonight.
Yeah, they lost December 9th by 14. Yeah.
That sectional, man, it's crazy. I mean, last year Twin Lakes came out of there, but it wasn't easy. And that was a Twin Lakes team that was undefeated. I think it was going into their matchup against Hamilton Heights, I think was who ended up clipping them, I want to say. So a good one there. Lapel, it was closer than the 50-36 final indicates against Alexandria. They found a way to get it done. And then Wapahani Monroe Central was a good game. I was following that loosely, just texting back and forth with our videographer Clark. A good game there. Nothing else really jumps out at me off the top of my head as I scroll through it. Providence, which I believe is ranked there in Class 3A, they lost to Austin 46-35. Bit of an upset there. But yeah, the games that I had Pendleton Heights against Muncie Central, Greenfield Central, New Palestine. First game was really interesting. It was close. It was back and forth. There for a little bit. It was kind of like one of those stereotypical games of runs with some big momentum swings. Allie Blum picked it up in the second half and carried New Pal, it felt like, for stretches there. Greenfield Central is a team similar to Buff, where you can see the pieces coming together, and similar to Avon, they're just further in the process where you can see them getting close. Where next year they're going to go into the year and they're going to be a sectional contender. They're going to be one of the favorites, where they have so many young pieces coming together and just so much depth. And this year's team, I don't think they had any seniors in their regular rotation. Some really talented juniors, including Cheney Brown, who cleared 1,000 career points with a free throw in the second half, as well as Madison Sonsini, who hit this half-court shot, which I'm going to pull up here as we talk. It was pretty sweet. Was not expecting it. She pulls in the rebound herself, throws it in there. I'm going to have to guess and see which one it is. pulls in the rebound, and then you'll see it here. She just lifts it up
Oh, wow.
and hits it.
Nice.
It was
Very
a
nice.
friggin'
What's-
sweet shot.
Now, who was that again?
Maddie Sonsini.
Okay.
She's only a junior. Really
I was gonna
talented player.
say, I mean, like just the 5 seconds I saw in that clip, like if GC's got all those girls coming back, I mean, those girls look pretty athletic, pretty strong. I mean, they look like they could be a team on the come up here. It looks like.
Yeah, and in talking to Bradley Key, their coach, afterwards, he talked about how this year's team is a lot better shooting team than he's had in the past, and they're really good. They're strong from three. It didn't work for them tonight. It just wasn't quite clicking, and even so, their defense was good enough. And New Pal made some mistakes that let them hang around. But for New Palestine, from their side of things, Allie Blum was big, Vivian Miller was big, kind of the usual suspects for them, and they avenged a regular season loss in overtime to Greenfield Central. Now they get a chance to try and knock off Pendleton Heights for the second time. And for Pendleton Heights, it's kind of like they've come so close, and they have this runner-up ball. And if they win section, I'm going to write about it. But a runner-up ball from when they lost Kaycie Warfel's freshman year, they lost by 4 to Mount Vernon. And every time they practice with it, and on the ball they write when they lose some of these big games, like a county tournament game or a sectional game, and they've all been by 4. All these losses they've had have been by 4, being in the sectional finals to Mount Vernon, sectional semifinal last year to Mount Vernon, Lapel this year in the county semifinal, Lapel in the county final last year.
I like that.
So isn't that a cool, unique thing? But with the way that Pendleton Heights handled Muncie Central tonight, obviously all the talk from everybody was, let's look ahead now to New Pal and see what the rematch looks like. So I'm going to pull up some clips here with the girls discussing that rematch that's coming up Friday night.
First half, I was really timid. I wasn't shooting when I was open, and the second half, I kind of just flipped my mindset, I think, and I was just really focusing on doing what I needed for my team because I wanted that win, and I know everybody else did. So yeah, just doing what I needed to do to win.
Assuming it's Pendleton in the semifinals, what's the key to knocking them off?
Focusing on taking Kaycie out of the game, in all honesty. She is their best player, and if we can take her out of the game, we will win again. So.
That was Allie Blum, New Palestine senior, and then here's Kaycie Warfel.
Let's look ahead. Big rivalry. How do you approach that?
They beat us in that last conference game of ours on their home court. And, there's no excuses, but for us it was kind of out of routine. We had the 6 o'clock game and everything. And I think that for us coming into Friday, we really want the sectional. We came up short since I've been here, we came up short. We've had great teams come through here. And I know that we really want the sectional. We want to do something that hasn't been done in a really long time. So we're going to come into that game really prepared.
When you have rivals in your sectional, and obviously you see them earlier in the year too, how personal is it to a certain extent?
It's super personal. Mount Vernon, obviously a huge rival of ours. We want to get there, hopefully see them in the championship. And first we got to get past New Pal, and that rivalry's only built up because of conference games. So it's huge.
What adjustments do you have to make to the way that they defended you the first time around?
The first time around, they face guarded me super tight, and it was hard. It was really hard for me to score and everything. And so we're making a bunch of new adjustments in practice on how to get me more wide open.
So there you go. That was Kaycie Warfel there for Pendleton Heights, Allie Blum before that. It's no secret, and it hasn't been all season as he's been ahead to regionals. You got to stop Kaycie Warfel, and that's certainly something that's easier said than done. But after watching Danny, we talked about it before, but Ada Hupfer, she's gotten so much better since that Mount Vernon game. She's built like an upperclassman. She has the touch that you wouldn't expect from a big like that, and she's just been phenomenal her freshman year. And you pair that with Kaycie, and man, it's a really, really tough combo to beat, especially in that sectional.
It's a really hard thing to do for a freshman that's expected to contribute and to have talents around you like Olivia Jones and Kaycie Warfel specifically to stay on the trajectory that you're supposed to be on to be a sectional champ. That's a lot on her shoulders, and she's delivered. But she's going to get her opportunities because I don't know that there's – in quarter court, you can clog the paint on Kaycie, but when she gets in the open floor or the open field and she can stretch her legs, there's no stopping her. She is so fast that she can always get to her spots. But in that quarter court dead ball change of possession kind of scenario, Ada Hupfer is going to be big because Kaycie's still going to have to penetrate gaps, and they're going to close up, and she's going to have to throw outlet passes, and Ada's going to be there because she has hands, she's tall, she's a target, and she can finish.
Yep. So for Pendleton Heights, the key is going to be getting by New Pal. New Pal obviously has the confidence that they got from knocking off Pendleton Heights in what was a de facto conference championship game just a couple weeks ago. It'll be interesting to see, but they have a lot of senior leadership on that team, multi-sport athletes like we talk about, who know how to win at big levels. Allie Blum's going to Kentucky to play softball. Vivian Miller's an excellent soccer player for New Pal. So it'll be an interesting matchup. But Pendleton Heights also, they're not shying away from the prognostications. They know they're the favorites. They're playing on their home floor, and they're not taking any of that for granted. So it'll be a good game, and you get past them, and it's probably going to be Mount Vernon, the team that's been the cause of their dismay the past few years, waiting in the championship game. And Ellery mentioned her senior year before she heads off to DePaul. So that's a really fun sectional they have going over there.
Yeah, it is a good one, and like you said, like it looks like Pendleton Heights is going to be 13-point favorites going against New Pal. But like you said, like New Pal beat them a couple weeks ago. So who knows? And I think Kaycie Warfel put it really well. Like, you don't want to look too far ahead. Like we got to focus on the job that's in front of us. You got to get past New Pal first. And then more than likely, Julie Shelton and that matchup zone is going to be waiting. And I've seen too many times Julie and her team are underdogs, and somehow – it's tied up with 2 minutes to go, and she ends up, pulling it out, and they end up going on to regional. So it's going to be interesting.
Courtney, give us some thoughts on I'm interested in what Kaycie said about like getting face guarded. I mean, that was every game for you. So like, what do you want early, or what do you want from your coach, or what do you want in the game flow? So go with your original thought, but tack the answer to my question onto the end.
My original thought was after watching the New Pal interview, I mean, I was on the edge of my seat, and I think the Dragons are breathing some fire out. They're going to bring it. So that's going to be a fun game to watch. But in terms of the getting face guarded, so I saw it all the time in high school and college. And I think more so like in high school, like you're going to get a hard face guard. College is obviously way harder when you get face guarded. So there's going to have to like keep the ball in her hands as much as you can. And like, if she doesn't have the ball in her hands, you got to be set screens, pin downs, back screens, like just whoever's guarding her. Coach Versip also told me in college, sometimes what you got to do is you got to trust your teammates and let them go 4-on-4 and just go stand in the corner. Like the coach has to draw up some sets during those times to get some of those other girls involved in the offense to go score. But you got to set screens. She's got to work. She's got to get hydrated these next few days because she's going to be working really hard to get herself open.
For whoever comes out of this, it's interesting because, I mean, you go from one huge rivalry game to another huge rivalry game. Mount Vernon's rivals with both of those schools. Pendleton Heights obviously gained some serious juice here recently with the postseason history, but it almost feels like an advantage for them because it's like you're already at that level. Like we talked about with Sectional 8, it's like, there's going to be some exhaustion because you're going to have to play a heck of a game to get through to Saturday, but you're already at that level emotionally. You don't have to swing up. Whereas Mount Vernon, I mean, if they do what we expect them to do in their game against Richmond, 11-11 Richmond, like that feels like a game that they should be able to win relatively easily, just based off of past history. So they may not be as up there right away as a Pendleton Heights or a New Palestine coming in. Having said that, I've covered a few Mount Vernon Pendleton Heights games in the past, and they are never pretty. The scores are quite ugly, and neither team shoots the ball very well. So throw it all out the window, I guess. Courtney, I'll let you pick where we go next. I meant to throw it in the chat so you can get ready.
Oh, man. Catch me. I hope I don't turn it over.
Yeah. Or Danny can, whichever one. I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
So while Courtney collects her thoughts, there's an interesting one, and I just don't know enough about him to give like a educated long answer here. But North Knox plays South Knox, which is a huge 2A matchup. And if you in my algorithm, I'm getting suggestions from some of those people, obviously through my relationship through like club basketball and stuff. But like that one's sold out, or I think it's sold out, and they're like asking people to carpool because there aren't enough parking spots. Like that one is going to be awesome. And North Knox, their only losses to Bedford North Lawrence on the road by a point. South Knox, his only loss this season is to North Knox in overtime. like that's going to the winner of that basketball game is not just going to be important in probably naming the eventual sectional champ, but is going to have a lot to say with who maybe the 2A state champ is. And so North Knox, Lexi Primus, seen her a few times on stream. She's fantastic. And Ellie Bobe at South Knox. Those two kids are great watches, but those two teams and those two communities they're going to go at it, and it's going to be awesome.
Yeah. Oh my God. The atmosphere is going to be unbelievable. And they've been telling people to carpool since like Sunday night.
That's cool.
They know well ahead of time. It's going to be amazing. You know how I feel about them playing on a Friday night instead of on a Saturday, but honestly, the Friday is going to be just as good.
Yeah.
I mean, you could see them opposite Lapel, Eastern Hancock, whoever from the north. I mean, that's going to be unbelievable. The group they have there, and Primus is only a sophomore, averaging 13 a game, and then McKinley right behind her, also at 13 a game. And Bobe, I believe, for South Knox, just became the program's all-time leading scorer, cleared 1,000 points, one of the two, but she did that pretty recently. So, man, that's going to be an awesome game. I'm glad you mentioned that, Danny. I forgot about that.
Yeah, the big winners are actually the parents of who play the 6 o'clock game because they're going to have great seats.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point. And another fun fact, they're located in different towns. I just assumed their Knoxes were the same. It made for difficult writing a headline. It's whatever. It was a stupid time killer. Courtney, what do you got?
I don't got anything. Lawrence
All
Central
right.
Addicts.
No, I was going to ask you what do you got for where we go next.
I was trying to find a good sectional score, but I'm not seeing anything really.
Oh no, I just meant like what region, what sectional should we preview next? I'm doing a terrible job tonight.
Next. Gotcha. You know what? I'll be honest. I spent like 2.5 hours watching the Purdue Northwestern men's game, and I watched Silver Creek, Bedford, North Lawrence. So don't ask me any more previews. I'll chime in on the analyst part of it.
Yeah, I got one. I know that we're going to get to the Hamilton County, schools, and we're going to get to Sectional 8, and we're going to get to Lawrence Township and all that. But I'll tell you one that really is intriguing is the Evansville Harrison sectional, Castle versus Evansville Central. I think Evansville Central is favored by 2, but Castle has been kind of like the standard down there. So it's very similar to like BNL in that sense. Like, Castle for so long and their coach, Coach Meyer, like they just have the pedigree of going to regional every single year. That's just the expectation. And this year, Evansville Central is 19-5. They're favored by 2. And I think that one could be a real fun game that, might be under the radar when you're talking about like, the Lawrences and stuff like that. So that could be really interesting too.
And another really good one, and we're going to have Kyle Soakland on to talk about it tomorrow night. Evansville Memorial and Gibson Southern, 20-3 versus 20-4. Gibson Southern we talked about a little bit before, just some of the pieces they have. Chloe Graham, Gabby Spink, they're stacked. And then Evansville Memorial has been having a great year as well, obviously at 20 wins. And they won the regular season matchup by 8 back in December. So that's going to be a great game. Danny, do you work with a lot of kids down in Evansville?
Yeah, I mean, clubs are so far spread now that every club works in multiple cities and multiple states now. So, we're not the only club, but that was, and not in my club, but that Evansville Central game that Josh was talking about, that was the Maddie Shirley game. We talked about her at the end of the last pod when we were breaking down the South sectionals. That's the kid that Jeff Allen thinks is the next Julianne Woodard. Mm-hmm. And again, like, just like I say sentences like that, but there's coming from a Hall of Fame coach, like that is super high praise. And so if that one gets close and you turn it on and stream it, that's the name to listen for.
Yeah, that's gonna be a good one.
Memorial, they've won. I'm seeing, looking up their schedule now. They've won 9 in a row, and they're waxing people pretty good.
Yeah.
Some really good games down Evansville way tomorrow, and then there's plenty others. Should we have the Lawrence Township discussion?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep it to 3 to 5 minutes because somebody has to write tonight.
and the somebody is not us.
So. Right. Somebody also hasn't eaten at all this afternoon, so somebody's really running on fumes. Danny started off.
It's beach season's coming up, Hank. So you're all right. You don't need to eat.
That's right.
Beach season's coming up.
So these are my 2 what to watches, I think, on that Friday matchup. The first is going to be Ellen's ability to handle the 1-3-1. That's redundant. That's been the storyline. It was the reason why there was the big comeback in the first matchup, and it played a huge role in the second matchup also, and it's going to be a huge matchup in the third. Cathedral played it like I mentioned. So what I saw, they did have better floor balance, and they didn't have three players in the backcourt anymore. They did occupy the middle. Again, like I said, Cathedral's version of that is going to be different than Lawrence Central's version of that, but they've been working on that, and you could see it tonight on film. The second is the paint ownership. And Josh, I don't think that's just Jemiah Thomas and Anaya McKenzie. Like, that's where Lampley wants to get, and her sister Lola Lampley. That's where they want to get. They're so good at attacking with their left hand. I think the ability to get into the paint for Lawrence Central or to keep them out of paint, I think, is the key to the basketball game. Because if Lampleys get paint under their shoes, it could be a long night for LN. So they've got to limit that penetration.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they've played twice. LN's lost by a grand total of 6 points. They're right there. And I don't think they need to do like too much. I think sometimes like people think like, okay, we've lost them twice, we have to start doing like all these like crazy things. Like, I do think they're right there. It's really just like cleaning up some habits, like you said, whether it's press offense or whether it's playing off 2 feet, whether it's making the extra pass, whether it's setting more pin down screens for your shooters, just little things. I don't think you need to do all this like crazy stuff. It's just really just playing with better habits, and LN could be right there.
Yeah, when it comes to these big games, I mean, it comes down to the little things of not allowing second chance points, boxing out, secure the rebound, and free throws. I mean, if you're not shooting the free throw at the free throw line, a game that could be, stretched out a little bit for Lawrence Central maybe makes it a close game. Or on the flip side, if Lawrence North comes out and they're hitting from deep and they have the game going, if they're not hitting free throws, they'll allow Lawrence Central to hang around. So rebounding and free throws are my 2 keys in that game for either team that wants to win.
Feels like a fast start is imperative for Lawrence North, just having lost the first 2. On the other side, Lawrence Central, they haven't like played with their food necessarily, but I mean, these games have come down to the wire. So it's like, if you get up, you gotta put down the hammer early and not give them a chance. Because if you let them linger, I mean, you can't play. It feels like if you play a fire enough, you're going to get burnt. And
yeah, and I think too, to add to LC, like, I mean, obviously we know they're super athletic, they're super long, they're going to get after you. They want a fast paced game, but I also think their shooting is also very underrated. Like, they shoot 36% as a team. So like you said, like, even if they do get down, or like you said, play with their food a little bit, like, they're talented enough not just to, beat you inside, but they also can make shots as well.
Looking ahead now to Sectional 8, Zionsville, HSE, and then you have Noblesville Fishers. Repeat of last year, the exact same matchups. I mean, there's so many different ways to go with this. HSE got Zionsville late in the season, but it felt like Zionsville was playing a little bit better. I don't know how much you read into the regular season finale for anybody, but Zionsville was up 10 late in the fourth quarter on HSE. HSE found a way to come back and win it before losing to Center Grove. Then they come out and they beat up on Westfield on the other matchup. Fishers lost at the end of the regular season to Franklin Central, but again, end of the regular season, etc. Those disclaimers. They beat Noblesville pretty handily during the regular season, but that's in the midst of Noblesville going through just that gauntlet of a schedule. And then for Noblesville, they picked it up down the stretch like we kind of thought they would. They've won a lot of games. Kind of felt like they hit a little bit of a turning point there with the win over Snyder and Valparaiso at their holiday tournament. In terms of trends in that game feels more like they're trending in the same direction, whereas HSE Zionsville feels a little bit more in the gray area. Danny, I'll just start with you again, and we'll just keep going clockwise.
Well, just HSE Zionsville, and then we'll go around the horn and then grab the second game. But I think my what to watch here, and I'm going to totally nerd out just because I love basketball and the X's and O's and the scheme of it. But I think the biggest thing in this game is how does HSE play the high ball screen that Andy McGuire is going to put on Allie Caldwell. I mean, you can switch it, you can trap it, you can go under it, you can hard hedge it. There's a lot of different choices, but Caldwell has gotten really good at creating a good angle, and she's really playing good basketball. So how they play that ball screen is going to tell us a lot about how HSE thinks they can lose. If they think Caldwell can get them, maybe they trap it. I don't know that they'll switch. And then there's all those defensive matchups. And I belabored the point of Ant Green and KK Holman playing at the same time, but Another thing that does is that could put Stidham on one of the 2 post players that Zionsville has. She's going to have to manage her fouls to stay on the floor because they're going to need her on the offensive side. But the last thing before I throw it to Josh and Courtney is, like Allie Emma Hahn has been the model of consistency for Zionsville all year. Okay. But Allie Caldwell is the key in this basketball game, because I think right now, and this is a hyperbolic statement here. Okay. But I think she's playing as well as anybody in the state right now. And no lie. She's been on a tear. She averaged 13 points throughout the season, but in the last 3 games, she's averaging upwards of 24 points per game, and she's shooting 60% from the field. Like, that kid was dancing with Brownsburg and had 27 points in just 20 minutes of action against HSE. So Allie's going to take a lot of those ball screens, man. Josh, I don't know if I'm letting her beat me.
Yeah. Yeah. Like if honestly, like if it were me, like you almost would take your chances with the roller, like just because you don't want her to beat you. You don't want the ball handler to beat you, especially at this level. Like, very rarely, if you're blitzing ball screens, like, are they going to, complete passes, especially to the roller or a deep diagonal, like where you're hitting, like the shake action. Like I do not want her beating me. So I like you said, I would definitely think about blitzing those and making her give it up and just take your chances elsewhere. But I think HSC's defense, like we were talking about in previous pods, down the stretch wasn't really good, but it does seem like that they accepted the challenge in their opening round game against Westfield. So it's going to be interesting to see, what type of intensity they come out with defensively against Zionsville. Because last time, I think it was 74-70 HSC won that game. So that was just a week and a half ago. So that's going to be a good one.
I'm going to go with the same thing. The same thought I had was defense. It's going to be a defensive battle. And my question is, how does Hamlin Southeastern defend Zionsville? They have to be locked in defensively. And if they aren't, I think Zionsville is playing so well right now that it could easily get out of hand for HSC. So challenge is out to you, HSC, if you're going to lock down on defense or not.
Just to follow up point too, if HSC does decide to fire on that ball screen and blitz it, and Allie becomes a passer, Andy will take the ball screen out. So now it's the ability of Ant Green and KK Holman, like I said, to guard and protect the paint, because there's no ball screen coming. It is one-on-one into that gap in that dribble drive, and Ant Green and KK Holman they've got to contain whatever the matchup is, whether it's a Leedy, Hahn, or Caldwell.
And I think the biggest thing is they can't get into foul trouble. When you're going one-on-one, you have people coming downhill at you. They got to stay in the game.
Noblesville Fishers, Danny?
So in the first game, Noblesville shot 38%. And their big 3, Shoemaker, Wilson, and Tittner, shot 34%. So to me, what to watch is, can Noblesville shoot better? Now, shooting to me comes down to 3 things. It comes down to shot selection. It comes down to passing. And it comes down to mechanics. Fishers, conversely, in that game, shot 66% from the field. And of their 26 made field goals, they assisted 17 of them. So my analytical take on this is, if Noblesville passes the ball to the appropriate person at the appropriate time and they stay on schedule, they're going to get better looks and they're going to improve on that 38%. And subsequently, have a better chance of winning the game. You're not going to win a game when the other team's shooting 66%, but that's Fishers for you. And that's that zone. They pass it really well against that. So I think how Noblesville guards them, I think, is going to be interesting too. But Noblesville has to get quality looks for Reagan, Tittner, and Shoemaker. And I think if they just move the basketball and make the right play, I think that's going to open up an opportunity for a win here for the Millers.
Yeah, there's no way, like water's going to find its level. Like, there's no way Fishers is going to shoot 67% from 3 again. If it were me, I would try to play through Tippner early. Let's get her established on the block, and that's just going to open up shots for Reagan and Shoemaker. I know, I think Noblesville's won 7 out of their last 8. They're playing their best basketball at the right time. Fishers had a little bit of a scare against Carmel the other day. I'm looking at it. right now, and it looks like that this is going to be a 3-point game according to John Harrell. So once again, it's sectional 8. It's, you might as well just put 2 minutes on the clock and play it, because it's probably going to come down to that.
If I'm Fishers, I'm worried because Noblesville didn't play. The season didn't go the way that they wanted to. We're getting into tournament time, and Taylor Swift may have the Eras Tour, but I've heard that Noblesville has the Revenge Tour going on, so watch out for it.
Like that. You've been practicing that. You've been practicing that.
You've been sitting on that so long.
I actually just came up with it. I just came up with it.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like the Taylor Swift reference too. They're always my GIF, especially when I cover Noblesville and they play Style, the instrumental during player intros, and it's great.
Oh, that's funny.
If you could see at the top of my screen, I actually had to look up Taylor Swift. What's her tour called? I didn't want to mess it up.
Awesome.
Oh,
There'd be a billion people mad at you.
That's awesome.
Seriously. I'll wrap it up with this. Twin Lakes has a couple really good semifinals too with the way things went tonight. We have Rensselaer Central versus West Lafayette, and then Benton Central, Twin Lakes. So that'll be fun. Hopefully the power stays on. I saw they had some power outages out there earlier. I think we covered everything. Are there any other sectionals you guys wanted to touch on? Anything else we need to hit on before Friday?
No, I mean, South Bend should be good, and Columbia City Homestead sets up for a Saturday. Snyder already played Northrop, so yeah, I mean.
Yeah, we hit on the South at the beginning of the show, so I think that nails it. Josh gets to go to bed. It's like 3 hours past his bedtime.
It's like 2 days in a row, man.
22. So when Josh isn't with us the rest of the weekend, it's because he's in bed recovering from
that's right
his arduous show. I have to get to writing. I'll have some stories up on IndyStar.com. I have my Olivia Elmore feature publishing tomorrow, so be sure to check that out. For Courtney, Danny, and Josh, my name is Hank, and we thank you all so much for watching.